Hey folks, Papa Joe here. I don't need these, I ain't doing a live stream, I'm doing a video. You know, seen something today that got me going. Actually, I was watching some of the political stuff, or listening to some of the political stuff yesterday. And I almost made a video about it last night. And I said, no, they don't want to hear about it. Well, then somebody sent me a video today, and when I took my lunch break, I watched the video. I'd already seen some stuff about it. A white boy on a school bus had two black girls beat the hell out of him. He said it was because he supported Trump, told him he supported Trump. What I had seen on before I watched the video was where the school had said that there was no grounds for a hate crime. So I watched the video today, and it wasn't good. And after the fact, the mother of one of the children, one of the girls, she said this didn't have nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with politics at all. They had had an ongoing confrontation for a few weeks, and supposedly this boy had called her the N-word, and he had beat up some other little girl. And we're not talking about 6-year-olds. We're talking about, if not teenagers, right next door. I mean, at that age. 7th, 8th grader type stuff, more or less. Well, now, first off, I don't care what the issue is. Hitting ain't supposed to be right. What happened to school is having zero tolerance for this kind of stuff. Now, also, what comes to mind to me is if this boy had used the N-word, in this day and age, I think he would have been reported weeks ago. And I also think the fight would have been on then. Period. I think that whatever caused the fight, which despite what they say, it could very well be because he was a Trump supporter, that it was politically and racially motivated. I don't know that. Just my assumption from what little bit we've seen. Now, the thing that made me decide to make this video, although I guarantee you I'll get 2 thumbs down from my in-house Democrats, that gives me a thumbs down on everything. How come, being that he was a known Trump supporter, all of a sudden he became a racist, a hater, a bigot, a bully? All of them little names that they like to tag us with all just got dumped right on his head. So, from what we've seen in the videos, the girls attacked him. But they're not in the wrong. They had a reason to attack him because he was him. It kind of reminds me of the nonsense I was listening to yesterday up there in Washington, D.C., where we have all these Democrats that are trying to save the country All of a sudden, they give a damn about the country, the Constitution, God, and our military. They was all thrown into the mix yesterday. And the Democrats were trying to save them all, including the country. Gotcha. When did this happen? For the last several years, let's see, there was 8 right there, and then these 3. So for at least the last 11 years, the Democrats have not gave a damn about us, as in citizens, the Constitution, the country, the military. They voted down any kind of help to the military, but voted for help to the illegals. Really. They don't like the police. They don't like us deplorables. But now that they've got this impeachment, which they don't want to do, they're doing it for us. Nobody goes into office wanting to impeach a president. Well, wait a minute. I think, didn't we hear some young female that got voted in that she says, now we're on to the impeachment? Really? Damn near sounded like she got voted in for just the impeachment, don't it? Now, was she the same one that said, first we're going to get Trump, and then we're coming after all you Trump supporters? You can't hide. Huh. Who was it before he even took oath said that now the impeachment begins? Who was it that said, let's impeach the MF? Huh. But they're doing this impeachment with a heavy heart. They really don't want to have to do it. Gotcha. Gotcha. Read an article today that my son sent me where they meaning the Democrats. See where I need to go here for this. See if I can find it. Dadgummit. Nope. But they broke the 1st, the 5th. There's 4 different civil liberties that they broke on Trump. They're like, really? I hope they hold him accountable. And now I'm not seeing it. That aggravates me. I should have looked it up before I got on here, and I didn't do it. But let's see here. And no, I ain't gonna find it at this time. Don't it figure? But anyhow, through their great admiration of our military and our country and all our civil rights and all this stuff, well, that's what it was, 4 of his civil rights. Now all of a sudden they are, it's ridiculous, people. It gets me so aggravated I can't talk. And today I was just thinking about it riding down the road, and then I seen that nonsense, and I was like, are you kidding me? No. I found it. House Democrats violated the 1st, the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th Amendments in the impeachment inquiry. Oh. And it's on my wall if you want to go read it. I will make sure that it goes onto my Papa Joe wall. Right there, and right there. And it's a 2 or 3 minute read. It ain't that long of a read. So it is plumb crazy. My wish, what I hope happens, is that this is going to the Senate. I mean, it's a given. Oh, and that's something else I was thinking about today, is how many people I have seen and heard talk about the trial. Folks, we're not in a trial. The trial don't come until it goes to the Senate. But so many people have heard this debate that they was having last couple of days, calling it a trial, and they were just tickled to death all the bad stuff that they had on Trump. Well, first off, they don't have bad stuff on Trump. It has not been proven. He has not been legally charged with a crime. Ain't nothing been proved for squat, and it won't be because it's all made up. But so many people, Democrats, are just tickled to death. Little Joe was telling me today that he works at a university. Gee, I wonder if that's a bunch of liberals and Democrats. They are. And he's not real popular amongst them. Kind of takes after his daddy. And I've told him he needs to quit that and keep his mouth shut. It ain't helping him none. But he said there was 2 or 3 of them that was just beaming like crazy because they just knew that this trial, Trump was in trouble. These are people with college educations holding down college jobs. Y'all don't know how the whole process works? This ain't a trial. It's a debate. Then they're going to vote, which they should have today. Or did they vote yesterday? Which I didn't even pay mind to the vote because I already knew. There's 9 Democrats and 4 Republicans on that panel. Gee, I wonder if it'll go to the Senate. And then Shifty Shift, all of a sudden he wants to bring in more witnesses. Well, the witnesses that he wants to bring in are ones that the president said, no, y'all just stay here until this goes through the court system, which the Democrats didn't push it through the court system. So their nonsense about blocking them up and all this, all he did was exercise his rights to say no and told his people to say no, which has happened in the past on the other presidents when they got impeached. And then the impeaching party took it to the courts, and the court says give them what they want or not. In Nixon's case, it went through the courts. The courts told him he had to give up the Watergate tapes, which was actually a cassette for those that don't know what cassettes are. The day after the courts released their findings on it and said he had to give it up, he resigned. So technically, Nixon was not impeached. He quit before he could get impeached. Carter didn't give up everything that they wanted for him. It went through the court system. But the Democrats this time was in such a hurry that they didn't want to do due process. Just dadgummit. So now they're whining and crying. You need to do that read. It was quite interesting. My video? Hell, I'll read it to you. If y'all don't want to hear it, leave now. Let's see here. Let me go back down here and find it. Right here. Right here. House Democrats violated the Bill of Rights in pursuing their impeachment inquiry against President Donald Trump. Republicans have pointed out that Democrats' articles of impeachment, especially the second article charging obstruction of Congress, punished the president for obeying the Constitution's checks and balances. Yet Democrats have also violated the basic liberties protected by the Bill of Rights in the following 4 ways. First Amendment. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff, which led the impeachment inquiry, released a 300-page report in which he printed phone logs purportedly belonging to ranking member Devin Nunes, presidential lawyer Rudy Giuliani, and journalist John Solomon. Schiff has never made clear what authority granted him the power to snoop on a journalist, among others, a violation of the freedom of the press. So that'll go deeper into that. The Fourth Amendment. Schiff snooping on phone logs violated the protection against unreasonable search and seizure. As the Wall Street Journal's Kim Stressel has noted, federal law bars phone carriers from handing over records without an individual's agreement. There are exceptions for legitimate law enforcement investigation, but there is no exception for lawmakers, and Schiff's inquiry had no law enforcement purpose. No crime was alleged. The Fifth Amendment. President Trump was denied the due process rights guaranteed to his predecessors in prior impeachment inquiries. Unlike President Richard Nixon and Bill Clinton, for example, he was denied legal representation in the fact-finding stage of the inquiry. He was also told at the outset that any effort to invoke constitutional rights or privileges would itself be considered further evidence of an impeachable offense. So they told him from Jump Street, don't try to protect yourself. We're coming at you with a bunch of mudslinging and lies, but don't you dare try to protect yourself. That sounds like American rights there, don't it? Sixth Amendment. Democrats violated the president's right to counsel when they snooped on Giuliani's phone records, even making a public record of his conversations with the White House, potentially violating attorney-client privilege. Moreover, by refusing to allow the so-called whistleblower to testify and silencing questions about the whistleblower, Democrats denied Trump the right to confront his accuser before being impeached. Democrats have argued that at least some of these rights only apply in a criminal trial, not an impeachment inquiry, and that if they were to apply an impeachment, it would only be in the trial phase in the Senate, not in the House. But impeachment, as Democrats have themselves argued, is itself a sanction that is meant, in their view, to deter misconduct. It is a penalty in and of itself, and the president is therefore entitled to all constitutional protections. So what it boils down to is that they rigged everything their way, no surprise, and now then it's going to fall apart on them. And Shifty Schiff is trying to save the ship. The ship's going down, and he's got a little kid's teacup, and he's in here trying to bail water out. It ain't going to work for him. Now, as I was saying, what I hope is that with some of the investigations, the criminal investigations that are going on now, and a couple of other investigations, I hope that as soon as we put this behind us, which I figure by the end of January it's going to be out the back door, over with, there wasn't nothing. I hope come February that Mr. Barr turns bulldog. I hope that they start investigating the Russian nonsense, the Steele file, the Biden's nonsense over there, and that's something else. Every time you listen to them, they say how President Trump, now we all heard the phone conversation or read it or had access to it, and President Trump said, do us a favor. He used us and we, not I and me. But to hear the Democrats talk about it, they say that he was wanting to get help for the 2020 election. He was trying to get dirt on Biden to help him in the election. Now, they don't even have proof of any kind of bribery or any of this other nonsense that they was talking about. Quo pro who, you know. The best that they have is some people's opinions. Opinions can't put you in jail. They heard the phone record. He did not say nothing about go get the dirt on the Biden so I can win an election. So once again, if you say it enough and they keep repeating that he was wanting this information for the election, how about he was wanting it because the whole previous administration was dirty, lying, thieving murderers? And it's about time to pay the due. Now, I know, who is it, Mitch, is wanting to make it short and sweet when it gets to the Senate, because he wants the nation to start healing. I got news for them. If they want the nation to heal, then they need to satisfy us. And there's enough of us that want to see criminals pay for what they've been doing. They've used our money, our trust, their positions for the last how many years? We would like to see them be held accountable and have to actually pay their dues. If we get that gratification, then the nation might start healing. The nation might start trusting some of them thieves up there now. And now we can honestly say thieves and murderers. Because little Miss Hillary fed our boys to the butchers. Period. She let them get murdered. Her and Obama. He was in Vegas and went to bed. She didn't answer their call for help. They're murderers. Period. You'll never convince me otherwise. And you'll never force me to say that it ain't true. But anyway, just a little bit of political rant for you. The state of affairs our country is in right now, all the way from Washington, D.C., down to on the school buses, is in shambles. I was reading some of the comments on that video, and the dumbest one that I heard, some woman, she made the comment that this is exactly why she has a conceal and carry permit. Because if you come after her and her family, you'll pay the deadly dues. That's my words for it. And I'm sitting here thinking, you got a concealed and carry permit just in case you're on a school bus full of school kids, and if these school kids start beating you up, you're going to just open fire on them. People do not stop and think about what they're saying. That really helps the Second Amendment, don't it? That just struck me wrong the whole way she said it. We're talking about school kids. Yes, there's issues there. But we know where the issues in life from and what's causing them. The parents and the education system. I don't think we need to go around shooting our kids. It's probably a bad idea. Not saying there ain't a few that probably need it, but it's still a bad idea. Don't do this. Try to educate them for what that's worth. Alright, there's your political rant for the night. Y'all have a blessed evening. Remember, he loves you. So do I. I think we're both concerned about this whole situation down here. Y'all have a good evening now. Bye.